Today, John, we're going to talk about technology. You say it's ruining kids of today.
That's right. Hello, Oliver. Kids today, or young people today, even young children from about the age of 5, because I've seen it myself, have the latest iPhones, a product that I'm not able to use myself. I have an ordinary phone and it's just used to make calls. It's not used to do anything else. Now, young people have embraced this technology, but they've embraced it far too much. They have lost the art of conversation with each other and with their parents.
Okay. It's also, you were saying, it's creating an obesity problem, that a lot of kids don't exercise anymore.
Correct. They don't. Some do, and they're playing sport, football, etc. But most of them, nearly them all, are into this business of technology. For example, I'll give you an example. We were in a hotel there in Cavan there some time ago, and a football team, I think it was a minor football team, it came into the hotel. There was a meal provided for them, and every one of them was on a phone. They weren't communicating with each other, and to me they looked dejected. We inquired, or provided with a meal. They weren't talking to each other. They were provided with a meal, and we asked them, did they lose? No, they won. But you would never think it from their demeanour. When they were having the meal, there just wasn't the conversation that you normally would expect with a football team. So they're nearly also suffering from this technology disease, whereby the machine is more important to them than chatting with their fellow players, and in cases at home and all the rest of it, children now are not talking to each other the way that they did. They're on these phones. You often see them walking along the road, and they're beside one another, and they're all on these items.
That's right. The other problem, of course, is that when kids are on their phones, of course, they're communicating to their friend, and their friend might be next door in the house next door, but they can't see the reaction when they're being hurtful to somebody. They can't see the reaction of the face, so then they can overstep the mark, and then the other friends join in this bullying behaviour, and the technology then becomes a source of torment.
Correct. As a matter of fact, some of it has led to suicides of other young people. That's the tragedy. Technology should be used responsibly. Now, regretfully, parents seem to be clueless in this area. They have a responsibility to bring up their children in a responsible fashion, and not to give in to every whim that they might have. First of all, to make sure that they have shelter and food, but to be very restrictive of the use of these iPhones, irrespective of what the children might say about the fact, and to restrict the use of them. First of all, that's number one. When they're 18 or more, if they want to go down that road and use these items, that's their responsibility when they become adults. But while they're under the control of their parents, it's up to the parents to do their duty, and to do their duty by their children, and not to opt out, as they have done, and allow young children to have these iPhones and all the rest, the latest gadgets costing a lot of money, and they're not able to talk. I have cousins myself who have children, and they're in this business. They're not able to talk. They can sit without opening their mouth while they're talking to their parents. Like, I'd like to give them a root in the behind and wake them up. As a matter of fact, I refer to some of them as perhaps they're intellectuals or something, because they're not able to talk. But God forbid, they're not intellectuals, they're just zombies.
Wow.
They're not reaching their potential. And now, why the schools and the educational authorities and parents don't inform of that, I do not know. The parents are being irresponsible. It's about time if they have children, to act responsibly and restrict the use of these phones and not allow them to take them to school.
Absolutely, but I also think that I think myself that one thing they should do is restrict certain things on the phone. I'll give you an example of one. Okay, predictive text. Okay, it spells the word for you. Okay, a lot of kids now and teenagers can't spell words because they don't have to remember them. So their spelling is absolutely atrocious. If you ask them to write a letter, you'll see that it's absolutely full of mistakes. So not only should they cut down maybe on the use of the phones, but particular aspects of the phone need to be looked at from an educational point of view. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I certainly would. I'll give you an example. There was a film years ago, and a lot of people don't know about it, but it was called Fahrenheit 451. And it was where technology had gone to the extent that we're talking about.
Okay.
And people were not allowed to actually talk to each other.
All right.
Or read.
How long ago was this?
It's about, I suppose, 15, 20 years ago. I saw it, and it was a marvellous, thought-provoking film. Now, we weren't into technology, of course, but this portrayed technology. And people, as I say, had every house there was a spy from the government of the day. And so you weren't allowed to communicate that much. And eventually it turned out people were in forests and woods reading books to try and memorise them, to bring back the use of discourse and reading. The fact of the matter is, young people cannot spell. Even people in universities. Is this what's wrong with the children, the young people in universities? They're not able to properly communicate. They've grown up with this technology, so they can be led because they haven't been able to think. When you read or when you talk or listen to older folk, you have a chance of learning something. But they're not listening to older folk. They're not talking. I've seen it myself. I've been on buses and trains, and most of them are not talking. Funny enough, strange enough, the only ones that I see talking at times is the so-called handicap that we hear about, the Down syndrome children. They're the ones talking.
Actually, a very good point. Yes.
On these iPhones or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Living this silent, monotonous old lives that they lead. Just be on buses. You don't hear conversation. If you do, it's a couple of older folk or maybe a couple of babbies. Yeah. But anybody that's most of them, they're on iPhones and they're looking at pictures. They're just like zombies. God help them. I feel sorry for them.
I remember when I was a child in school in the early 80s, they were saying that the calculator would ruin a person's ability, right, to add up a sum, okay? And it did have a slight impact, but the problem with predictive text is it absolutely ruins literacy.
It does. They can't spell.
They can't spell at all.
U for IOU. Now, really, schools should be banning the use of them in the schools.
Yeah.
Parents, until they're fit to take a proper decision, should actually ban them and not allow them to take them out of the house, and to restrict not alone the use of these iPhones and all the rest of it, but to reduce their exposure to television. Have their meal together. Some people don't seem to be able to sit down together and have a meal. They go off here, there, yonder. They don't talk to each other or to their parents. Now, parents have a responsibility, and the only way to exercise that is to restrict certain use of various things. I mean, their children are going to be eventually responsible adults, but if they're allowed to do what they like by way of these machines, these technology gadgets, well then, how are they going to become responsible adults? How are they going to exercise kind of the decision making that they have to make in life, that we all have to make? I mean, thanks for goodness, we had to do everything without any calculators. And so with the result that one is able to add up and do all the rest of it. When I had my own business, I didn't use any modern stuff. I did everything by hand, and not alone was I quicker than any of these machines. I was able to have the books balanced and ready about less than 7 days in the month, so that everything was up to date. I knew where I stood.
And did you make lots of money, John?
Well, I made money. I didn't lose because I knew what I was at. I wasn't sitting around waiting for computers to do the blinking thing. A person that took over the business subsequently to when I retired used a computer, and honest to goodness, he didn't seem to have figures for 6 months. Whereas I had them less than a week. Quicker than you could do with a machine. The hard way.
Yeah.
I knew where I stood.
The hard way is always the proper way.
Well, this is it. The hard way is the right way. It used to be a story told about a snail and a hare running. I think it was a tortoise. And the hare was very cocksure, winning, had a sleep and all the rest of it. And the tortoise was slow. But funny enough, the tortoise won the race because the hare was too cocky. And it's the same as everything else. You know, hasten slowly. Don't think you know it all. Young people think they know it all. They're doing their hat to know nothing. And listen to the older folk and converse. That's the only way you know anything. Wise words, John Malone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Albert.